Hello guys, welcome to the 11th session of Blazor tutorials for beginners. In this session, we will understand the life cycle of Blazor component. Let's create a new folder for session 11. Add new Blazor component named lifecycle. When we build a project, these Blazor pages are converted to C# class so it can give us DLL. As previously said, each Blazor component will inherit from component base class. This class has several methods to manipulate lifecycle and behavior of Blazor page. Now let's open its definition by clicking F12. It includes some virtual methods like build render tree, on after render, on it, on parameter set, and should render. It also contains the asynchronous implementation of those methods. Note that it will first execute the normal method and then it will execute asynchronous method. Build render tree. This method is responsible for building HTML which will render to the browser. On init, it is executed when the component is completely loaded. It is executed when the component is ready and when it has received the values from the parent in the render tree. In this method, we can load data from services. Control in the UI is loaded after this method, so it will render data retrieved from their services. On parameter set, this method is called when a component is initialized. It will call every time when parameters are modified in the parent component. On after render, it will call after rendering of the component. In this method, we will access all the elements and components references. This is a very useful method. We will frequently use this method to manipulate DOM or modify events of the components after rendering. Should render. This method will return the boolean flag which we'll use to determine whether UI will be rendered again after modifying or not. By default, it will return true. We can modify it as per your requirement. State has changed. This method is not virtual, so we cannot override it. We can just call it. It will update UI as per values exist in the fields and parameters. Let's override onInit method. In this method, we will just display the message on the console. Copy this method and update it for on parameter set and on after render. Set routing in the page directive. Now save and run the project. Open lifecycle page. Open the developer tools. Now open console. Here we got messages that we wrote in C#'s console. Here component was initialized first and then set parameter values and then call after render. Usually we have to use on after render for the binding event and manipulating UI. Now let us see what we have learned in this session. We have checked component base class and understood its methods. Build render tree will build HTML. On init executed when the component is ready. On parameters set called when parameters are modified. On after render, it will call after rendering of the component. We will see should render and state has changed in further sessions. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any doubts, please feel free to contact us. Have a nice day.